On the tabletop today, I'm going to be playing the Thin the Herd mission for County Road Z. For today's mission, I'm going to be thinning the herd. I've slowly been doing a lot of upgrades to my base and doing a lot of projects around there. And of course, I'm slowly making a lot of noise around my base. I've been getting a little bit more and more of a threat from herd potentially coming in. And last time I've got there, I basically have 9 herd threat. It's quite a bit. For sure, I'm going to get a seeds mission. So I want to try avoiding that if I can. And so what I'm going to be doing now is just having my survivors go out into the surrounding area, find a bunch of zombies, slowly just try to thin out their numbers a little bit. And this is a pretty difficult mission because basically I got to kill all the zombies here. If I can clear the whole zombies and clear them all off, then I reduce the siege threat to 0. If I'm lucky, I can get like maybe about half the zombies and like reduce that siege threat by a half. That's by the rules. I might tweak that a little bit. I'll see how it goes, but it's a pretty tough mission. So like the number of survivors I have based on their points is 10 points worth of survivors plus the siege threat. So I've got 19 zombies out here. That's like quite a bit. And it's interesting when you're playing them out too, because when you place a zombie, you'll end up placing an additional zombie within 3 inches of each other. So immediately you can see like I've got a potentially like a little bit of a herd right over here. That's like really tricky how that's going to work that out. And the other thing too is I've tried doing a little bit maybe more of a traditional method of spawning resources and zombies. I have this really cool sheet that has a random number generator for spawning points. And I'll provide the link in the description for that. It's a really cool website. It's got some really nice character sheets and some quick reference sheets for rules. So this is pretty cool the way it's set out because basically it's 8 columns and 30 rows. And they each have an individual random coordinate number. And so I'm going to roll a set of dice here. So basically 1, 2 would be through your 10s, 3, 4 will be in your teens, 5, 6 would then be in your 20 through 30. And so for here, like example, rolling 6, I'm going to roll this higher level here between 20 and 30. It's a 7, so that would be 27. So it's going to be in this row here. And then I roll an 8-sided die that would be the column that I'll be using. So if I roll a 6, it'd be of that column. And that's what I'm going to use that number there. I'll get a general idea of like, the X, Y, and coordinates where that'll be. So that's a pretty cool way of doing it. I'm going to see how it works. It still might be a little finicky, a lot of measurement, but we'll see how it goes. So for this area here, I actually have quite a bit of blocking line of sight. I don't have these fields and these woods as difficult ground. I'm going to make it easy to go through. But I'm going to have them block line of sight, anything up to 2 inches. So for like example, these zombies here, quickly I'll be able to see them and they'll be able to see out. But these zombies here, depending on where the angle is, like coming in from this area, it's over 2 inches. So I'm not going to have line of sight to that zombie. And it's a little interesting. These zombies move without line of sight. They don't have to worry about that. So, they can just move on through. It's going to be a little interesting to see how that plays out with these fields and with these woods. A couple more things too is, I have a Russian Eastern Front house from World War II, and that's what I use here. Looks like a pretty good log cabin, so took off the roof there, and I'll be playing in there. These vehicles, they can't be used. Basically, they're there just to block a line of sight and just provide some terrain. So we're going to see how things go, but I think that's probably best approach this corner here. I've got a mix of some melee and some range combat, so those skills, hopefully I can try to thin out some numbers, and then this won't get too crazy over here. We'll see how it turns out. I was lucked out and had quite a bit of resources too. So there's quite a few I've got out here. There's I think about 5 resources. There's a lot. And hopefully if I'm lucky, I can scoop up a couple, but I'm going to really try to focus on killing out the zombies. And it's going to be a little tricky. I'm not sure really like the best way of approaching it here. It's a bit off camera, but I've got some zombie out here in the corner. I got a couple other zombies here. I'm really afraid that, if I sort of muck this up, immediately I'm going to get a horde, out here. So I've got to be careful about that. I may try to like thin out some other numbers out here. And I'm thinking like maybe approaching this corner, this might be the best way of doing it and moving in and doing that. So for my survivors, I got a couple of my top tier survivors. I've got TJ here with his heavy weapon. He's got his baseball bat. And I've got Vic here with his crossbow. So these are my higher level survivors. They're skill level 3. They've got a fair number of skills. These would be my heavy hitters, I guess. And then I've got more of my citizens. They just got 2 health here. They've got Officer Dale with his shotgun, and have Yune. She's got a bladed weapon, a knife. Got a model with a pistol. Maybe I'll pick up that skill later, but I think, anyways, I want to get some versatility in these models, and they look pretty cool. These are my survivors here. I've got a little bit of a mix, again, as I mentioned, between some range attack and melee. My idea, hopefully, is that when you look at the shotgun, it's pretty loud. It's got a decent range, though, so I'm hoping that, I can shoot a couple times, hopefully thin out a little bit, and that noise won't be too much. But if I get some zombies moving in a little bit, at least they've got some backup here with my other melee weapon survivors. So we'll see how this turns out here. So I'm going to be starting off turn 1 here. I've got my survivors out here in the corner. Some of them are a little bit off camera there. And I'm going to go ahead and have Vic open up with his crossbow. Looking at these groups here I've got, I'm going to try to maybe get lucky and hopefully just break these off here. So got 24-inch range on that one. I'm going to go ahead and shoot. And Vic, of course, has pretty good crossbow skill there. +4. Rolled a 6. Nice. So he's eliminated 1 zombie, and I have to keep track of my kills there. It's 2 actions for him, the load and reload, so pretty much that's it for him. And it's target only, so it's going to be a little quiet. Now we're going to get some noise here. I'm going to have Officer Dale open up, so he's going to probably shoot at this zombie here, and we'll see how he goes with that. And roll the 5 plus his skill, so that's enough. Now that's pretty loud, so we're going to see what happens here. If I was smart, I should have shot this other one here first. So he's got a couple other zombies here, unfortunately, that are made active. So this is going to be a little crazy now. Now he needs to do a little bit better shot here on this one, defensive 6. Which Officer Dale in a skill of 3 barely does. So he kills off another one. And it's pretty loud. So it's going to cause this one to activate. And they're going to move forward now for their 6 inches. And we'll see how things go here for that. But that's been 3 zombies down. Making some noise, but it's enough to sort of keep these sort of activated here. And I'm going to probably, unfortunately, have everything killed off, hopefully, by the end of this table here. So we're going to have to see what passive zombie pops up. Look at the distance here. I think if TJ takes any move at all, it's going to activate this other zombie. So he's just going to go ahead and move a little bit. This zombie's action then will move up towards him, and hopefully he can take care of that zombie there. The TJ's got a pretty good skill of 4 with his heavy weapon. He rolls a 5 and clears that out, so he got another zombie. So I'm doing okay there. Killed off 5 zombies so far. So now I'm going to have Yune move up. She's going to move up here and then scavenge this. Yune's got a scavenge skill of 2, so she's going to go ahead and get 2 resources. So I'm going to use these 4 resources here. She picked up 1 there, and she's got another one that she's going to leave at the side there. So that's the end of turn 1. Now, let's see what's going to happen here. There are no zombies on the board, so the zombie furthest away will activate and become active. And now that is done, I'm going to spawn 1 more passive zombie. So we're going to see where that spawns out there now. So 25 and 8, does it 13 and 22. So we have another zombie that popped up in that corner there. And that's going to make it a little tricky for seeing what we can do. So we'll find out what else I can work on next turn. So a slightly different angle of the action that I've got here. My survivors have gone ahead and they've basically gone onto the board here. They're able to clear off quite a few zombies over here. Basically break this up, this group here, this little horde almost that would be forming up. Unfortunately, like I said, it's just a little too loud, a little bit too close. So I had some zombies that activated, and I had one over here that activated and moved on in. And TJ was going to be able to get up there and just take that out, fortunately, with his baseball bat. He's got a pretty good skill. Had Yune come up. She's got a scavenge skill of 2, so she's able to get 1 resource and drag one along. I might have some of the others that'll move up and take care of that. I've got maybe a zombie here I can get here, but then that's pretty much going to be it. So I'm not going to be able to get anything else. So I might have, Dale open up and just clear up 1 or 2 shots here, and then just slowly see about where else I want to shift and move. The problem I have a bit, though, is like the further zombie off there is up in the corner, way off there. And so next turn it's going to be active. I think it's going to be moving over here. So I'm going to have pretty much a horde pretty much immediately that's going to be popping out. You know, wish maybe I made some little more noise and got like maybe one more active zombie around here to try to control that. But that's going to be a little tricky what happens there. So that's the end of turn 1, and we'll move on to turn 2. So at this point here, I'm going to try to be a little careful, like managing noise and trying to see if I can just sort of do some activations and use those activations to try to get those zombies and draw them out. Now there's a 2-inch range here, which I got. This is short, so Vic can still see this one. So he's going to fire one more time, and he needs to get a 4 better, which he makes a 7. Of course, I got a bad habit here. I've got a little box that I roll off screen. There's just, I don't have enough cameras for a setup there to like cover all that, but you'll just have to trust me. So, taking a zombie out, another one there. I'm going to hit that kill count of 6. So Vic's done his 2 shots. It's been pretty quiet right now. I'm going to probably have, we'll see what else I can do here. Officer Dale move up, and he's going to fire off one more shot here. Just over 18 inches in that range there, or just under 18 inches. Okay, rolls a 10. That is a pretty loud retort though. So with that 12-inch range, don't activate any other zombies except for this one. So we've got another zombie out here in the field. And that's been his 2 actions, so he's done. Now I'm going to have TJ. He's just going to try to manage a little bit of his movement here. So he's going to move 6 inches. And that's still far enough away from this one. And then move on over a little bit further back here. So he's going to be close, but he hasn't quite picked up that resource, so I'm going to leave that out there yet. That's going to be his move. He's done that. It's been quiet enough that this zombie is active but hasn't moved. So we're pretty good, I think, for that turn. Now, this is the problem I've got too, like Vic. It's great crossbow. It's really nice and quiet, but it takes 2 actions to shoot. So unfortunately, I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to have to be able to use him every other turn. So next turn, I'm just going to have to try to move him up and get him in a good position. Now, I like the crossbow. It's pretty great range and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's sort of a problem having these 2 actions for each shot. Now we're going to follow through for the zombies and getting their activation here. They're going to be moving towards the nearest passive zombie. And we're going to start off with this one here and see what I've got. And looking at this, okay, that's a little bit closer there. So they're going to go ahead and move, do their move of 6 inches towards this group here. So nothing's happened yet, and they haven't activated these other zombies. So we're good about that one. And then lastly, we have the one zombie out here in the field. Obviously, the survivors are closest, so they're going to move their 6 inches and be threatening a little bit there, but that should be it. That's pretty much the end of turn 2. So again, another viewpoint of some action here. The group, Vic was able to like pop off one here. I had Officer Dale move up and he shot off in the corner. That was loud enough to get one active zombie here to move out in that field. And they just activated but stood there. I moved around a little bit, just sort of dancing outside that 6-inch range there to not activate that zombie anymore. It slowly crept out of the fields during this activation. The problem I've got, though, again, is still we've got that one zombie out there in the corner that's like moved on through the woods there, and it'll probably move into that other group. I'm hoping maybe we can try to take care of those guys pretty quickly. I don't know how I'm going to be able to work that. So maybe this turn I'll try to move up a little bit and clear some zombies out. We'll see how it goes. But that looks like, I think, pretty much going to be instant horde over there in the corner. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go on for turn 3. I thought about trying to move around a little bit, but I'm going to risk having that zombie move in and attack, and I want to just try to avoid a wound if I can. So I'm just going to have Vic just go ahead and shoot off another round, another bolt from his crossbow. Rolls a 10. He's successful with that one. So that drops another zombie. I'm making some pretty good progress here. Things have like cleared out a little bit. So now I'm just going to spend some time with my group and just try to shift around a little bit, maybe make some noise, and slowly move up here and just try to be a little bit more proactive in trying to get these zombies here and hopefully not get completely overrun. And he's got decent line of shot there, so he's going to go ahead and take one out for that. That's going to be a little loud. Yeah, I'm wondering maybe just move him back just a little bit and try to manage just a little bit more. Still not quite good enough. Maybe just a little bit there. Going to be a little bit tricky with the shot. We'll see how it goes. And rolled at 8. That's good enough. So drop out that zombie. So I'm out there at 8 zombies killed. I'm doing okay. It was pretty loud. So he's done his 2 moves, but it was like, over 12 inches away. So I wasn't able to activate that other zombie. So now I'm going to have Yune just sort of scoot up a bit. She's going to move on ahead. Do her 12 inches of movement there. TJ's going to do one move here, then move another 6 inches here. And he's got his resource. We'll take that one off. And so now we're pretty good. I think next turn, unfortunately, they're sort of sitting back a bit. There's really not line of sight much to anything else. So I'm going to try to move them in and just sort of see how crazy things are getting over here. So now we have our zombie that moves. And this is the only zombie that's active on the field. So it's going to pretty much do its full move. I'm going to consider out here. And that turns these other zombies active. So I've got a little horde here, and nothing's really in line of sight. So they're going to probably move over here. Gosh, I'm going to just have this big horde here and just try to pick that through. I don't know how that's going to work out for me, but we're going to see. And lastly, we'll spawn that zombie, that one more passive zombie. They just keep coming out there. So that's going to be like a roll of 7 on row 7, column 3. So that is, again, 24 inches on the y-axis. And 3 inches out. So now, there we go. This is now, it's going to be pretty fun. This is sort of what I like about County Road Z, is you've got a zombie here that just sort of crawled out. Let's see if it's quite within. Yeah, I'm going to say it's 3 inches. So immediately it becomes an active zombie. And this is sort of a little bit fun thing, I think, about County Road Z. And I've talked about this before, but you get these points where you think things are cleared out, you think you got to control the situation, and then a zombie just comes out of nowhere. And I sort of like that. It's almost like The Walking Dead a little bit. You're going through a house and you think everything's clear, and then out of the closet comes a zombie, and it's like massive confusion and massive panic. And that's sort of a fun thing about the game. But we'll see how I can get things going here for turn 4. So I do like to provide these little recaps of the action that's not necessarily overhead. It's a little bit closer in. So Vic was able to go ahead and clear that one zombie out. And I've had the groups move up. Dale moved up and took out one zombie there. It was loud enough, but he didn't have any other zombies that came through. So I had Yune just go ahead and scoot on off a little bit there in the front, and had TJ picked up a resource, and he's sort of lingering out a little bit in the back. But you've got a zombie that just popped out there in the corner now. So that sort of scrambles my whole plan of trying to get that horde thinned out a little bit up there. And that's what we've got. And immediately, that horde is going to move off into the other one. So I've got a big group of zombies there. That's going to be a little crazy to see, what happens. So on to turn 4. So fortunately, this corner's pretty cleared out. I'm just going to head and I'd like to get Officer Dale up there and maybe eventually start picking off some of the zombies, but I don't know where this horde's going to move. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe it'll move off to another area. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to have Officer Dale just go ahead and shoot. And now since he's got a shotgun, even if he misses, it's going to buck that zombie back a little bit and hopefully give him a little bit of distance. And of course, he rolls a 1. So no. There is no luck on that one. That zombie moves back, and now we're going to see what goes on. He's going to move on. It's going to move on and activate into old Vic there. Vic's in trouble with that zombie on that. So that's his one action, and I really can't shoot or do anything else with him. If I move him, it's just going to activate the other zombie, so I'm just going to hold off and stop. And I wish I had a better way of handling that. So we're going to see what goes on here. I might just have then TJ move in here. So he's moved up to his 6 inches. And that's still an inch away. So that zombie is going to chomp onto. So checking through some things a little bit, I realize now actually for Vic, Officer Dale can do a little bit of some movement here, because I keep forgetting about that rule. Yes, it activates zombies, but if a zombie is in contact with another survivor, and the actions you're taking is not the zombie, or not the survivor that the zombie's in contact with, it will do nothing. So that's at least good enough for me. At least I can try to get another move out there. And so I'm going to have Officer Dale move up. Now I'm going to do the same action here. I'm going to have TJ move, but since this zombie's in contact with Vic, it's not going to do anything. So now it's a little bit inch away, and that's a good thing about heavy weapon. He's just trying to roll and see if I get lucky there. I rolled an 8, that's good enough. So I knocked the block off of that zombie. I've killed 9 so far. And so, that's the thing about County Road Z, is just trying to manage that noise. And I keep sort of forgetting about that fortunately it's not so brutal that you will have zombies keep taking actions if somebody else is moving around and chowing to somebody. So that's a little bit of a saving grace there. Now I've got Yune. She's just sort of off by herself, but man, I just don't really see her doing much of anything. I'm afraid she might get a little bit overwhelmed, but I'm going to move her up just a little bit, just to maybe get some distance here. And if another zombie pops up, maybe she can just move in and try to take care of that. Now we have no other zombies on the floor that are active except for this horde, so we're going to see where it goes. Roll a d10 in a random direction. 9 inches off that way. We'll see what goes on with this. And I'm going to say that horde is close enough to activate these other zombies now. So now we've got a nice size horde over here. In a way, I'm sort of relieved that maybe they can just sort of start meandering around and not necessarily get into anything. But, it's try to keep my distance here. Don't think necessarily Officer Dale, what we can do about this right now. I'm afraid if I make too much noise too, I'm going to start activating these guys off. So I'm going to have to sort of see where I can shift and sort of move a little bit. And, this line of sight's killing me. Like, I sort of know they're out there in the fields, but unless I can get a proper angle there, I'm not going to be able to get those guys. They're probably going to activate and move out. And that's what I might have to do, is just eventually try to shoot some of these zombies here, get them sort of moving a little bit, and then see what happens with these other folks here. So another viewpoint of the action. Officer took a shot, didn't take out the zombie, sort of pushed it back with the shotgun, fortunately, and then it activated again and moved on up to Vic. So I was sort of juggling a little bit, like what to do, like maybe not do anything. If I'm taking any action within that 6 inches distance of making noise, that'll cause that zombie to activate. But I sort of forget about that little rule there, and it's sort of buried away a little bit. And this is a really important thing to forget about it, that yes, noise will activate a zombie, but if it is in contact with a survivor and that's not the survivor that's making the noise, then it's not going to attack. So it'll move and it'll make contact with the survivor, but it won't attack or do anything unless, it's actually engaged with the survivor that was making some noise. So that allowed me to get Officer Dale up there. And more importantly, I could get TJ to move in close enough. And with that heavy weapon, it's got a 1-inch range. So he was able to get there and knock the block off of that zombie and get it off of Vic. And, had Yune, she went ahead and did her move there. So we're going to leave it at that, and now I'm trying to remember, and that's why I need to probably put some markers down. I don't even know if Vic took an action. I don't think he did, but I'm going to just assume next turn that, we're going to have him move off and do some other stuff. So that's where we're at right now. We've got that horde up there. It has moved into another group. So we definitely have some horde action that's going to be happening there. We're going to see how they work out. But so far, that is the end of turn 4. We're going to move on to turn 5. And things are looking okay so far. Oh, but I forgot. I got to spawn that zombie. So we're going to see where that spawns now. See, I knew it was too good for me here. And looking at that, okay, 13, 6. So that's not pretty nice there. It's pretty good distance. It's going to be 22 inches. It's going to be down along here now. So basically, we've had another zombie that's coming in on the corner there. It's sort of past the zombie, sort of moved on in. So we're getting a little bit more of some activity out here, but they're all pretty spaced out pretty well. I've got 2 up here, and so I think that we're pretty good so far. We'll see how things go for turn 5. So now I'm at a little bit of a pickle here, and looking at movement and stuff. I guess I could have Yune try to move up and then move back and sort of drag these zombies out, and that might be a little bit wise for that. And maybe that's be a better way to do this, and just give these guys a chance to maybe move and do some action here. So I'm going to have Yune just move, I'm thinking close enough here to activate one zombie. And so that zombie becomes active. And then move back and keeping line of distance here. And that's still going to be within 8 inches. Well, maybe not move back too far there. Move there. So I'm going to drag that. I'm going to get that zombie coming out. And so that's going to be here 2 actions. And we're going to sort of see how she can manage that a little bit. And now I'm going to have Officer Dale just do a shot. Hopefully just take that zombie out, which he does. Fortunately, having enough skill, long gun of 3, just barely made it. Now that's pretty loud. And is it enough? It is enough. Darn. Well, what can you do? So that zombie is active there. But dropped another zombie, a little bit happy with that. And unfortunately there, it's just enough of a distance for everything that zombie is going to probably, since nothing is really in line of sight, and I don't think he can quite reach Yune, so he's probably going to run off and get into another zombie over here. So that's what's going to be happening. I want to keep that distance there a little bit. So he's fired off 1 shot. I'm going to have him probably just move around and keep the noise down. And same thing for TJ. This is going to be having him sort of skirt around that distance there. And lastly, for sure for Vic too, same thing. And they're outside that range there. So I'm going to just have Vic lined up. So he's pretty good to go. And we're going to have him just sit tight. So I probably won't do a follow-up action for this one because it's going to be a little bit more reasonable here, a little bit more quiet. First off, we're going to have this zombie that's going to move. I think, just judging by the distance here real quick, that's 11 inches. Yeah, that's for sure. That's closer one. So it's going to take a move here and go off towards these zombies because it can't really see anything there. And Yune is just outside that 8-inch distance of it. So it's not going to move towards there. And now is the moment of truth for this zombie horde to see where they move. Okay, 5 inches off that way. Okay, I think we got a little bit of a break there. So we're just going to try to do for the middle of that one. So it's gone 5 inches. This group sort of moved around a little bit here. They got like a nice little horde action moving in that one. It's a pretty good group. They're a little bit out of distance here, but I think Vic might be able to pop off a shot and at least get one taken out. And we can just try to whittle away this horde and just sort of see how things go here. It's a little slow, but I'm happy with it right now. And of course, lastly, it's going to be, that zombie. Where's it going to spawn, that passive zombie? And that is not too good for me. That's going to spawn pretty close to everybody here. So, and that immediately pretty much spawns as an active zombie right in front of you. And I never know the stories of this and how you're going to tell it. I guess, maybe there was just a zombie just like still out in this cornfield and this slowly just came out. So a little bit of a horror movie moment there. So I'm going to have some faith in Yune's skill and ability. So I'm going to have her scoot through this way here. And that will activate that zombie. So it's going to move up. And now we're going to do a little bit of melee action. So for our second action, then she's going to try to attack that zombie. She's got a +3 with her skill. There's a pretty good odds there. Oh, and barely need it. I rolled a 3, +3. Just barely got that zombie there. She just takes a knife and buries it into its head. And what's nice about that is really nice and quiet, really not going to be activating anything else out. So I'm going to actually see if Vic here can get some distance going. It's got a nice 24-inch range, so for sure we can pick off a zombie here. I'm going to have to be careful about my shots on that one. I'm going to go ahead and fire and hopefully pick off one zombie there, which he does. So taking a zombie out. We're going to just clear off one there. And that's his 2 actions for that, and he's done with that. I'm not going to have Officer Dale move up. Pretty quiet here for that. And he's going to shoot and try to take out one zombie. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, that's enough too. But that is a loud retort for that. Are you kidding me? Oh man, it does activate that zombie. So man, I thought I did that a little bit better. I should be moving around, but I'm gonna say, there you go. So this one moves up to this zombie here, and then we've got another little mini horde action happening. And of course, now we have to roll for these ones. They're all without outside range there, so they're gonna move randomly in a direction. Hopefully I won't get too messed up there. That's nice. They sort of shuffle around a little bit with that. So we're going to say that they shuffle through here just about an inch. So we've got these 2 hordes sort of moving around here. And this one's going to be a little bad because they may converge, they may not. I'm going to just try to thin those down there. I got a couple of them. That's good. And I got to watch out. I've got another 2 more back on this corner here. So we'll see what happens with that. Last thing is going to have TJ. He's going to move and just get, up a little bit distance here and be a little bit forthright here. I'm going to have Officer Dale do a couple of shots. We'll see how these guys move. And let's just go ahead and do that now. We're going to move these horde. Oh, and of course, that is what happens. So now everything has gone to hell with that 8-inch range. They're not within distance yet, but I'm going to assume that we've got one off here a little bit here, and that's like maybe a little bit further in outside of that. But now that makes things interesting. We're going to see where this horde moves now. 3 inches off this way, so they're going to pretty much move up to the edge of the field. And last we will spawn that zombie. So if I'm lucky, it's going to be over here. I can sort of manage it, or maybe back, around here. If I'm unlucky, it's going to be right on top of me. We'll see. And that's going to be probably around here. I think it's going to be a passive zombie. Nope. That's going to be another zombie that's going to be added to the horde in here. So not too good for me. They just keep rolling in. And man, I don't know. I got a lot of zombies to kill. So to get another perspective here, I had Yune move around, and I had some hope that she'd be able to cover out that one zombie, which she did. She sort of, I had it engage with her and sort of move on out. And that allowed some other folks to shoot. Vic was able to pop off a good round, 24 inches there with his crossbow and take one out, and just sort of sat tight. Officer Dale was able to move in and just take a shot. And I was fortunate enough that I had those zombies. They just sort of meandered around that horde. They really didn't do anything. But when I did that random roll of where they moved, they ended up moving closer in at the end there. So for sure, like next turn, I got to do something about these guys, clear them out a little bit. Otherwise, things are going to get overrun. Fortunately, TJ's up there. He's pretty tough. He's got that baseball bat, and hopefully I can just try to clear some guys out. We'll see how that works. I might have him even. I don't necessarily even want to have him move because I want to just try to get some shots off, and we'll just sort of see how they move randomly. They will probably move and engage, but we'll see just how that goes. And I've got another group of zombies here that are, they had one zombie that activated with that gunshot, but it was further enough away that it's not going to go towards any of the survivors. They were over 8 inches. So it went off to the nearest passive zombie. So I created up another little horde that we got over here in the corner. And I've got one zombie that spawned in passively, but it's so close to the other ones. I've got another horde action there. And fortunately, for them, the random movement, they sort of moved out the edge. That could get a little crazy. Things can get really crazy here. So I'm just trying to get these guys and thin them out as much as possible before these guys start wandering around here in the corner. And we'll see what happens in turn 7. So it's an interesting situation that I've got here. Even though crossbows are a target activation, so if I shoot and I fail, I'm only going to activate one zombie, but because it's part of a horde, this whole horde is going to head and move and do stuff. And so I'm at a little bit of a situation here. I'm really not too sure, if I'm going to have him shoot or not. Maybe I'm going to have Officer Dale shoot, but Officer Dale can move around and do some stuff. So I might even have Officer Dale just try to move in a little bit here and see if they can get some range over these other zombies and try to shoot at them. Or I've also got these 2 other zombies that are off in this corner here. So I may have him just try to, move around and get lined up a couple shots. It's gonna be a little difficult to see. Regardless, TJ is probably gonna get surrounded. So I'm just gonna do the shot here for Vic. Fortunately, like zombies and survivors don't block line of sight, so he's got range there. And of course, he rolls a 1 plus his 4 of skill. He completely misses. And so now I'm going to have all these zombies do their movement, and it's going to go towards poor TJ. So TJ is now surrounded by a bunch of zombies, and he is in trouble. So the interesting thing too, if TJ starts attacking now, he's just going to get overwhelmed. So I'm going to try to thin out the numbers a little bit with Yune. So Yune is going to move up. Now how it rolls it, Yune is less than TJ there, so that one zombie is going to attack Yune and misses, rolls a 4. So Yune now is going to try to kill that zombie, which she does. Unfortunately, it's very quiet. It's target 1, so she'll kill off that zombie. At least that's like thinned down a little bit for TJ. But regardless, he's going to get chomped on. You know, there's not much I think that he can do with that. So we're going to have TJ do an attack. He successfully knocks 1 out. Now those 2 other zombies are going to attack him. And 1 takes a bite, so he takes a wound. This is not looking good for old TJ there. He's going to do another attack. He successfully kills another one. And then that one's going to try to take a bite of him. Unfortunately misses. So he's been successful enough with that to knock a few off and just have at least 1 zombie that's still going to be on him. But I'm still engaged with that. I really can't do anything else. So we're just going to have to see what happens. Now, Officer Dale has not done anything. So I may just go ahead and have him just try to move and try to scoot around a little bit here. And his movement around is not going to activate this zombie. So we're going to end it there. So now this zombie's going to attack TJ again. Fortunately, he misses, rolls a 5. Not good enough there to get over his defense. So he's okay. TJ just got 1 wound. He'll be able to take care of that. Now we're going to see where this horde moves. Lucky there. It's about 4 inches down this way. So they're going to keep moving down, which is actually pretty good now for Officer Dale. He's got a couple of shots off and clear those guys out if we can get this zombie done and taken care of. We've got a couple of zombies off here. I think we might get some control over this. Of course, now it comes down to where these zombies spawn. So this is going to be the fun part here. See how bad things get for that. Rolling off on this table again. Roll a 13 for the row. Column 4, that is 30 inches and 22 inches. So again, we're going to have something that's going to be way off here, down among these other zombies. So we've got another zombie that's going to be pretty much out in this area out here. And that might be another little horde that pops up. We'll see how crazy things get with noise and stuff. So a different perspective of the action here for turn 7. I had Vic fire off his crossbow. I was hoping I get lucky and just at least drop 1 zombie, but I failed miserably. And that caused that whole horde to move up in front of TJ. I had Yune scoot in, and she was able to engage that 1 zombie and like able to fend it off at 1 attack against her. And she was able to take that out. And it's target only, so it does affect the other zombies, but because they are not engaged with the survivor that made the noise, they don't do anything. I was able to use that little bit of language there, and that there's rules for how hordes work to make that work for my guys there. So TJ, did 1 attack, but he's got those 2 other zombies. They immediately did their attacks on him, and they took a chomp out of him. So he's got a wound in there. That's not too great. But he was able to like knock off another one and fend off the attack of that last one. So he's all right. So for that, then I had Officer Dale sort of scoot around, and he's making noise and stuff, but he's not, that zombie's already engaged with someone, so they're not going to activate. They're not going to do anything. I'm going to have him then, he's lined up to work on these other set of zombies over here and try to thin out their numbers. So we'll just see how it goes. And I had 1 more zombie that spawned up, and then this one here was at coordinate X of 30 and then 22 inches down. So it's lined up right next to another zombie here. So I've got a potential of another horde out in this corner. going to be a little crazy. We'll see how it goes, but on to turn 8. So I'm going to immediately have TJ there. Just go ahead and try to take out that one zombie. Okay, which I was lucky. Roll a 7. So I popped off another zombie. Man, I've killed a lot. I've taken the point. I didn't even stop keeping track of it, but I definitely got over half the zombies here. So that's been his one action. And I think I'm just going to be proactive here and move up near Officer Dale and just sort of keep him some distance there. I'm also going to have Yune. She's going to move up. We're just going to be a nice little tight group. And I'm going to have Vic. I've still got some zombies over there. I don't think Vic's going to be able to get a shot off. Maybe he'll get lucky a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to just do a couple here and try to get this corridor down because I think you're going to get a lot of blocking line of sight with these fields. So we're going to leave it at that. But now that it's moved, I'm going to have Officer Dale make a lot of noise. Now, I think it's a 12-inch range, so that's good. That's just over 12 inches here. So it's not going to activate the zombie here, but this horde will definitely see some stuff going on. So he's going to fire off one round from his shotgun, and it's successful. So he kills one zombie. Now, they're with over 8 inches range, so they're going to move in a random direction, and that is not good. So we're going to move that 10 inches now down here for that last one. And we're going to say that these guys just pretty much move off a distance here, that Officer Dale just can't get anything going. And now we have got another little mini horde down here. So now this is a good question, like what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's worth it just trying to get these folks off, but we'll see. So now this horde's going to move in a random direction. And it moves in 2 inches this way. So we got this big group here. Well, now we're going to see where another zombie group spawns. And we've got another one out here that's just going to be pretty close to adding to the total of other zombies here. So we got another one that's sort of crawling in on the edge. So I think for next turn, if I can keep things quiet, I'm going to probably just see if I can scoot on out and get some resources here. So we're at this point here. I've got this horde. Because of line of sight and stuff, I don't know if I'm going to be able to effectively get out there and thin those out. They move. I could be okay because it's probably still outside that 8-inch range. It may not move towards them, but I might get unlucky with a random roll. I still got 2 zombies that are going to be off in this corner here that've been passive, but I just haven't been able to clear them out. And I guess I could try fighting in there and do that, but we're just going to. I think things are going to keep spiraling out of control a little bit. So I'm going to have Yune move up. She's going to activate that. She has her scavenge skill. So she's going to have 2 more resources that pop out there. So she did her 2 actions. I'm going to have Officer Dale pick up 1 and then have him move back 6 inches and get him sort of skedaddling off. Vic's going to move in and grab another one. So they're sort of burdened down now with some resources. They're able to carry everything out there. And Vic is just going to he's going to move back to just sort of hang loose a little bit there. Get a little bit closer to the edge. It's still going to take a couple turns to get off. We're going to see where this horde moves. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, we'll be okay. If not, we're in trouble. Okay, I'm lucky there. So 4 inches off this way. So we've got another little group here that's moved off. Distance there of that. And lastly, where these passive zombie will spawn. And that's going to be off in this corner here. Coordinate of X and 4, or 8 and 4. So 8 inches and 4 inches. We've got one right outside this fence here. So I think that we're pretty good so far for that. So I think at this point, I'm getting pretty close to just trying to cut my losses and run. So we're having TJ move on off here. Yune is going to follow suit. And they're both hauling around a couple of resources. TJ with his wound. Of course, going to have Officer Dale move to, and they sort of got a little area covered. We're going to see what happens to this horde now and where they move. And so they're still meandering around. They rolled off 4 inches off this way. So just going to sort of do a quick move here. And lastly, it'll be, if it can see where, if a zombie spawns over in this corner over here. And this is probably a good distance off now. So we've got one zombie that spawned over here, and it's going to be out of the range in that one. So I think at this point here, I'm going to pretty much call it. Fortunately, it spawned. Even with the zombie moving here, they're going to be able to get off the next turn. So we're going to call it there at, I keep track of the turns there. I think we're at turn 9, or I keep forgetting about get that checked up on there. I get so wrapped up in everything else. I think that's about it for thinning the herd. I wasn't able to get all the zombies off, but I figured, man, I got this big group of zombies that are over here, and there's quite a few. They've got 6 zombies, and just moving around. I can spend some turns trying to juggle that, but then every time you're doing this, you got more of a chance of another zombie coming out. So I can think up, I'm lined up, I got 3 shots or whatever, and then a zombie will spawn or come in on the edge of the table. And at that point there, okay, now I got to handle that one. And they just keep spawning more and more. So I think I'm just going to head and probably call it at this. So I'm going to call it here. I was able to sort of skedaddle the group out a little bit here and move them off and, sort of get them to the edge of the table where they could just do a couple moves and get off. I was fortunate here that I had, a passive zombie sort of spawn away from them, and they could have spawned right on top of them, and that could have caused a little bit of an issue. And I moved these in a little bit more so you could sort of see from the overhead camera, but they were sort of still meandering on the edge. And I got a huge horde of zombies here. I've got another one off there. I think I actually probably would have maybe even activated the other zombie. I've got another group of 3 zombies up here. So it's getting to the point where, I just can't manage all of this stuff. I don't think I'd be able to just get them out and kill all the zombies and complete the herd, thinning the herd completely. But I definitely got over half the zombies that are originally out there, and did a pretty good number on that one. So happy about that. I think the next turn basically they'll just get off the table. Unfortunately, TJ got a wound, so he's going to be lined out for a turn, trying to get him healed up a little bit. But I did walk away with 4 resources. I didn't expect that, so we'll see what I can get randomly from that, and that might help out. More importantly, it helped reduce that threat level of that herd by quite a bit. It's sitting at 9, so now I basically got it down to, I guess would be like maybe 5 turns next time. So that threat of the horde coming in and basically avoiding that siege mission, I got a couple of turns reprieve off of that. Offhand, this is a fun mission to do. It's a little interesting that you just basically have to go in there and kill zombies. In retrospect, I probably should have had more of my members that had range attacks, but it's good to have somebody too that can just maybe take out a couple of melee attacks, and it's interesting, a little juxtaposition there too, because that's what I like about Yune, that it's a bladed weapon. You really don't have much range with that, but it is nice to have that that one target. So if you've got that one zombie on you, and you can pop it off, you're not making a lot of noise. If you can work with another one, if you've got a survivor that's surrounded by a few zombies, again this big horde, they're able to quietly kill off 1 or 2 and get those numbers whittled down and not cause a bunch of ruckus. Whereas TJ with his bat, every time he's swinging with that, all these other zombies are going to be activating and doing attacks. And sure enough, that's what happened. He had 3 or 4 zombies on him, and he just couldn't clear it out. So I'm pretty happy at least with that. In retrospect too, I'm thinking for this mission, it's so hard to kill every single zombie. And I'm thinking about maybe, penciling it in that possibly get it down to maybe reducing the horde threat to 2 or something like that to really make it worthwhile, because it's sort of crazy. You got quite a few zombies out there. You got to kill every single zombie. And because the way passive zombies spawn, you may get everything cleared off here, and you've got everything done, and you might way off the corner get a passive zombie that spawns. And so now you failed the mission. So you've got to run over there and try to get that. And then another one will pop up, and another one. It can be just never ending. It gets to the point where I think that you just can't kill the herd. It's impossible to do. So I don't know. I might work with that a little bit. That's a rule I might tweak. Unfortunately, I think that's what I like about the designer. They're really open to saying, here's the rule set. There's some rules there. It's functional. You can do a lot of stuff as raw, but also there's a lot of stuff in there that's a toolbox that you can just sort of tinker around with and change out a little bit. I think at the end, after all, pretty fun. Definitely a little bit of change of scrambling to try to get resources or try to get survivors out. I thinned out the herd a little bit for my community. I got a couple turns reprieve. Next time, I think I might try to go back and look for some specific loot. I've heard about a sporting goods store that might have some type of machetes or bats or crossbows or bows that I might be able to pick up. So I might look into that next.